Blue Water CRM, cloud-based CRM software specifically designed for collection agencies, debt buyers, and sellers. Let's log in. Okay, you can see we are logged in as an administrator, a super user, or a manager, and you can tell that by the left navigation and the center search screen. In this video, we are going to go over the letter management and the letter selection system. On the left-hand side, let's go down to the management link. What we're going to look at is this link right here, create state-specific letter requirements. When I click on that, on the right-hand side, I can see a list of every single state and province that's available. If you notice for California, if I mouse over the view verbiage, I can see the State Rosenthal Act, the Debt Collection Practices Act, and some information. If I go to New York, if I mouse over, I can see that you have to put your New York City Department of Consumer Affairs. And you can see several states do not require it, but if you had specific verbiage that you wanted to put with a letter, that would go here. Now, after we have that set up, let's click on the letters link. Bring this up a little bit. If we click on Review Letters, we can see on our right-hand side we have two letters. As with everything else, you have an infinite amount of letters that you can do and you can place. When you get the system, it will come with an initial demand letter as a default letter. It is not a template, and it is Y equaling yes for initial demand. We give you that initial demand letter, which you should not delete, because it's geared for the import. So when you import a file, if you immediately want to generate your initial demand letter, you can actually do that to the import tool, which is a good feature to make sure that every time you receive a new file, you're automatically lettering it. You can override it if you want, but this letter will be there, and this is for your letter vendor. If you see on the template side, we have a N and we have a Y. N means it's not a template, meaning that those letters will go in a CSV file to your letter vendor. Y means that it is a letter template that can be generated through PDF. So if you're doing any one-off type of communication and you want to send a letter, you can actually send that letter here and create it, and then send it to the debtor through email or through whatever you like. You can wrap it up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the left-hand side and I'm going to click on Edit. Now the reason I'm doing this, there's a lot of information that needs to be filled out, but this screen looks exactly like the Add screen. So you can see right here we have a letter ID, and we called it Follow Up. We have a letter description. This is a follow-up letter. You can decide if it's manager only. If you choose manager only, only managers will be able to choose this template. The collectors on their side of the system will not see it. You can choose right here if it's going to be a template or not. If you choose template, that particular letter will be available as a template in the system. If not, it goes into the CSV system to be exported to your letter vendor. You can also choose to make it an initial demand letter. It will not override the default one, but you can make it an initial demand letter as well. You can also create client-specific letters. So if a client has a specific verbiage or something that you want, you can actually come here and choose the client that it applies to. And whenever a letter is set, that system, the letter system, will check and say, okay, this letter belongs to this client, so I'm only going to send this letter. If you look below that, we have an area called Dynamic Variables, and by checking these information will appear on the letter. So you can have original creditor, the account information, original balance, charge-off date, attorney fees, and so on. So these will all appear on the letter for you, assuming that you choose them. You can choose a font size, font weight, and italics. You can choose to underline, and these are all dynamic elements. Below that, we have the first part of the letter, which would be the header information. So company name, you can pick a font size for that. You can bold, italicize. Here is your main information, city, state, zip, and so on. Again, font, italics, or underline. You can put your office hours. You can give a font size for that. Same choices for font weight, italic, or underline. And then we have the content information section. And if you notice, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 boxes that we have available for you. And the reason we did that is so that the system could separate different segments of your paragraphs into different locations. You can have certain text be bold while other it is in plain writing. You may have state standards or other standards that you're following when you set out to send a letter. So this gives you the room to move the information around and see how it actually looks. I'm going to scroll down. You can have a closing information, so it says right here, thank you, John Smith, Senior Collector. You can put, if you want, I happen to put the State Rosenthal Act here, but you saw that that's on the letter system, but you can put disclaimer information here if you like. You can choose a font size for that. And then the footer information is the same as the above one, but it's actually along the bottom of the letter. And if I click here, footer information similar to header, you click this, it will auto-populate the way it is right here. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to actually click on Preview for you. Now we're on a dev environment, so there will be a watermark on this, but obviously your system won't have it. You can see your company, the information, you can see the date, today's date, the debtor name, first name, address. Here's all of the items that I picked off, dear first name, last name, and you can see the different information that I have chosen. And you can see right here, this chose the disclaimer information for California, but this was just to be a disclaimer. This is for you to take a look at, but the system will automatically pull from the particular state when you actually run the outbound query to create it. So you don't need to put the Rosenthal Act, the system will find it, but this is just to show you that you can put disclaimer information in there. You go further down and you can see right here, here is the footer that we created. So this is the basic PDF letter that's generated, and these can be exported. They will fit in a window envelope, and you can easily fold it, or you can email these to debtors or clients that request the information to be sent to them. So that's it on the review letter. So if we go here, we can add a letter, and you can see here's the letter ID. When you do a non-template, you don't see all the other choices because that is auto-populated by your letter vendor. If I go to Export Letter, click on Export Letter, I can see we have two types of letters. One is the initial demand letter, which comes with your system, and one is the follow-up letter that we just created, which is your PDF. If I hit Submit, so Export Letter, when you click on Export Letter, you can see the two different types of letters that we have available for export. If you choose initial demand letter, this will be a CSV file that will be set out to your letter vendors. If you were to choose this, this would show you all of the PDFs that have been generated, and then you can export them as one single item. If I go to Process Letters, I'm going to click on that, and I am going to click on this, and let's just see if I needed to know at some point how many letters have been sent out. I'm going to go back a couple of months. I hit search, and I could see that we had 2 letters go out. One was done today for this demo, one was for this client 16788, and one was done for gross. So I can actually globally export these, and it will actually send it out for us if we wanted to do it again. The next thing is the NCOA Import. Now, for those of you using letter vendors, all letter vendors today are going to run some NCOA type of scrub. So if they do update an address, if they do get you additional information, they will send you back an NCOA file format. You can actually take it, and these show you the columns. These should match up with your NCOA database. You click on Browse. You can take that information that you get from your letter vendor. It'll come into the system, and it will automatically update the addresses in the system and tell you that the letters were sent. However, the letter vendor had made the changes to it. There's also a queuing area where you can take a look at the NCOA information and decide if you want to send it, accept it or not, or keep the old one. One of the things that you'll see with the Blue Water CRM system is that anytime you make an update to the system or you change it, the historical information is there so that you can always go back and revert that particular account back to what was originally there. It'll also show you who did the change. The next two links, the next two links, one is review CSV letters. So we can see right here, we have one letter that is pending to be approved, which would be a CSV file. If I click on review letter template, I can see that there's a bunch of PDFs that are all set. I can global approve them here. I can decline them here. I can delete them. I can view them. And when you view them, that'll show you basically the same PDF that we saw before. But this one will show you it with the specific letter verbiage if it was California or New York or Colorado in this case. So this gives you the template view of what's going on, and you can approve these. When you approve these, this will come out as one long PDF, all separated and ready to go into an envelope or be emailed to your clients or debtors. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go down here to Query Accounts. Let's select Query. I'm going to go down here. Let's just choose a couple in the middle. We'll do this right here. Let's just choose those. I'm going to hit Search Data. When I hit Search Data, you can see the various options we have to export or integrate data. For this, I'm going to click Letter because we're doing a letter request. Click Submit. When I click Submit, the system is actually checking against everything in the system and then telling you what items we have that are ready to go and which ones you may want to take additional look at. Now you look at this page, and this page gives you the results of your query. You can see that there are 39 records or 39 accounts that meet all the minimum requirements to be sent out, meaning they have no issues, no holds, we haven't lettered them before within a certain time period, and that these letters are clean and ready to go. Below that, we can see that there's 20 items or 20 accounts, 20 letters that are restricted. It's telling us that 3 of them were sold, so we probably don't want to letter those. 3 of them have red dispositions, means there's some type of hold, disputed balance, a fraud, some other type of red code or hold code that prohibits the system from sending it out. You can see that some of them have payments on them, which you may not want to letter if there's already payments being taken. Some of them are paid in full, so you certainly don't want to letter someone that's been paid in full. Right here, this letter means they've been lettered in the last period of time. So we can set the period of time that you would like, but this is saying, hey, listen, a letter already went out to them within the specified period. We probably don't want to send this out because it's going to be a violation of some state and some federal laws. And then there's 2 that are closed. You also have the ability as an agency or a user of the system to kind of override these particular codes and these particular restrictions. And we give that to you because many agencies will manage it different, and certain codes may mean different things to different people. So if you go right over here, you can override those and choose to send those. For this, I'm just going to take with the default 39 records. I'm going to hit Submit. When I hit Submit, it allows me to see the letters that are there. I can send an initial demand, or I can send a PDF. For the purpose of this, I'm going to send a PDF letter. I'm just going to choose these 2 right here. Scroll down. I'm going to hit Assign Letters. When I do that, it inserts it, and you can see that those 2 letters were added to the total number of letters that we had from before, and I'm back to where I was before to global approve, delete, approve, decline, or view these letters. What I'd like to do now is that this is the interface that managers or supervisors or super admins would see. If I was a collector, which I'm going to switch, when I'm a manager, I can work in both collector mode and manager mode. But for the purposes of this demo, I'm going to click on collector mode, and I'm going to do a search for an account. Okay, I just did a search for account. I came up with this account ending in 1951. We can see it has a current balance. There's information here for where we are, the original creditor, which is covered in another video, the collector interface. What I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down to the bottom. I'm going to click on Request Letter. Now when I do that, on the right-hand side, I get a pop-up box, and I get to choose any letter that I would like. Now, if you notice, in this particular drop-down, I do not see the initial demand letter. And the reason for that is initial demand letters cannot be chosen by collectors on the fly. So the only letter that I could possibly choose is the follow-up letter or our PDF letter. If there was a letter that was specific to a client, that client letter would appear here. So those 2 specific things, and if they want, they can actually add information to the letter to be added. So we have debtor will pay in 3 payments for discount agreement. This information will be put in with your letter, and it can actually be set out. I hit Submit. Letter request is sent. Okay, let's switch back to the other side. Okay, so we just selected it. Now we're back on the manager side. Let's scroll down. Let's go to the letters area. Let's click Review Letter Template because that's what we just chose. And you can see right here, this is the letter that we just created. This is a follow-up letter. Here's some of the notes that have been added to it. And then again, you follow the same process. You can approve, decline, delete, and so on. So very simple, very easy to use. What I would like to do now is I'm going to go back. Let's copy this. Let's go back to collector mode. Let's search for that same account. This is an interesting thing. As part of, we have the state-based letter verbiage. We also have state-based pop-ups. You can see right here, this is an Ohio pop-up and giving you specific information. These pop-ups lock the account down so that your collectors must interact with this before they interact with the customer or the debtor. This is great when you're going through audits and your clients that you have are saying, how do you ensure that this happens? How do you ensure that that happens? So when they click on this, the audit trail is updated where all the click information is, and you can view that and review it with the debtor. And if your clients ask, you can actually show them that we have pop-ups, this is the information, and the screen is completely locked. But let's scroll back down. Let's go to Request Letter. So if I click here, you can see now it's under review. So it shows you the status as the letter is there, and it will not allow me to send another letter. So the system prevents that. There's a lot of nice fail-safes in the system to prevent things from happening. Let's switch back. Okay, we're back on the manager's side of the screen. Let's scroll back down, and I am going to go to Letters. Let's go to Review Letter Template, and let's do this one right here. I'm going to take this particular account, copy it, and I'm actually going to approve this. So I'm going to approve this. So now that letter has been approved. If I click on Export, you'll see that that's ready for export. It's right over here. And now it can be sent to the letter vendor or generated as a PDF. I'm going to scroll back up and I'm going to go back to collector mode for a second. So I go back, let's do a search on that particular account. I hit search by account. I see the account. I scroll down to the bottom and you can see request letter sent on 1/12/2018. If I click on request letter, I can click on this. On the right hand side we see the familiar box from before, and I have the ability now to send a letter again as a collector. So I come here and I want to send out another letter, so I click on this. When I hit submit, the system is checking against the database that we have within there as well as the fail-safe. And what it's saying, hey, listen, this account is either has a letter that's under review or a letter was sent less than 14 days ago. So this prevents you from sending out letters when you shouldn't. And it prevents the collectors from making lazy mistakes in the system. It's a great fail-safe, and there's a lot of stuff in the system that prevents these mistakes from happening, which is easy to do. So you click OK. You go back to the manager side. We're back on the manager side. In this video, we learned how to create a letter, how to create a PDF letter, how to create a CSV letter, how to export a letter. We learned about what happens on the collector side of the system, how they can request letters, and how the system is actually merged to send out letters either as a PDF for emails or as a CSV file for your letter vendors. We also saw how the NCOA return file works and how it updates the system. Thank you for watching this video. Each video is designed to give you an in-depth overview of every single component of the system. My goal is to make you a blue water CRM expert. Thank you for watching.